Welcome to another financially fabulous episode. I'm Limor, and while I'm not a financial planner, I'll show you what I've learned. Today I want to talk about how to have more money. Come on, this will be fabulous. Okay, so I know that we all want to have more money. And the one best trick that I know to have more money is to ask for it. I know that might seem super obvious, but not many of us actually ask. And when I talk about asking, there's almost two elements to asking. One is asking to have more money, and the second one is asking to have your expenses decreased. Asking for a raise can feel really uncomfortable. And partially that's because society teaches us that we are going to get exactly what we deserve. So we don't think that we need to flex those muscles of asking, when in actual fact, we do. One of the things you need to keep in consideration when you're thinking about this is that there's two sides to the coin. You've got your employer who of course wants to give you a fair compensation, but they also want to make sure that they are keeping their company running very efficiently. So if they can pay you $5,000 or $10,000 less, well, that's what they're going to try to do. What you may not realize is when you're being hired for a new job, there's a range, a buffer zone in which the employer can actually hire you and give you a compensation. Also, if you're at an existing company and you've been there for a while and you haven't really gotten much of a raise, if you're performing well, and that's really important because you don't just get a raise because you feel like it, because you've got a wedding that's coming up, because you want to buy extra gifts for your family, because you want to take that big vacation. You can actually earn extra money if you're doing a great job at that company. So if you are and you haven't gotten a raise in a while, I recommend that you go out and ask your employer for some extra money. Now, in my experience, I've actually found that the best time to get an increase in your salary from an employer is to do it not at the year end. Because at the year end, that's when they're dishing out extra money for everybody. That's when they're reevaluating. But if you ask sort of middle of the year, when not everybody's looking for an increase, you may be able to get some extra money that way. Especially if you're going to be doing it in a way that's compensating you for a particular extra project that you've taken on. If you can correlate and prove the results that you're driving for the company, there should be no issue with getting you a little extra money. Now, something we need to be aware of, a trend that's happening in the employment world, is that we're no longer working for the same company for 30, 35 years and then retiring. One of the elements that I realized really only in hindsight is that changing companies was the best way for me to increase my salary. My first company that I worked at for 6 years, after the 6-year mark, I had been doing a really great job in my last role for about 2 years and had proven some really significant results. And I went to my boss, I mustered up all the courage that I could, and I had all the facts of all the results I had driven for the organization. And I said to him, okay, I think it's time to talk about my next promotion and my next raise. Well, he basically patted me on the head, figuratively, and said, oh, Limor, you're so aggressive. Let's talk about this in a year. Okay, I came home, I was so mad because I knew my worth. I knew factually how much I had driven for the organization. So literally, I felt like I broke up with the company in my mind and started looking for a new job. I found a new role at a new company, and would you believe it, at this new organization, I was able to negotiate for a 30% salary increase, and I was able to make over 6 figures as a result of doing that. And so moving to another company is another great way for you to be able to increase your salary. On the flip side, there's an opportunity for all of us to be able to start to decrease our expenses. If we do that, that's how we can have more money in our pockets. If you think about it, if you get a few of your expenses decreased, and I'll talk about them in a second, you may be able to have an extra $100 or $150 in your pocket every single month, and you won't have to negotiate to have extra income. We've got so many expenses in our life, and I urge each of you to think about which expenses can you have decreased. So a really good one that I find that people are often able to negotiate and decrease is their debt. So let's say you've got credit card debt and maybe it's at 19% interest, or maybe it's at 15, or maybe even 25. Regardless of what it is, I would encourage you to call up your debt provider and find out if you're in the right optimal product for you. Because sometimes it's not only about asking and pleading, it's about figuring out, are you in the right product? If you've got a lot of debt, it can make a really big difference to how much you're paying every single month. I've also had great success with having extra overage fees, especially on my cell phone, removed and adjusted. I have called up my cell phone provider and said, hey, I'm a longtime customer of yours. I know I used way more data than I had allotted for that particular month, but is there anything you can do? And by asking if there's anything you can do, I was able to get a very favorable response. Not only did I end up having those overage fees removed as a longtime customer, I was moved into a different cell phone plan where there was less long distance, which I hardly ever use anyways, and it ended up being cheaper and I got a lot more data. So what you really need to do is ask for it. Sometimes you can ask for something very specific, or you can just ask what can be done. That brings me to my tweetable today. You don't get if you don't ask. Here is my challenge to you. I want you to take a look at all of your expenses and I want you to see how much you can reduce them by. Start with just one little win. I want you to start by calling one company that you work with where you've got expenses and ask them if there's any way they can reduce the costs for you. Leave a comment below and let me know what you're able to negotiate. Did you like this video? Did you learn something? I hope so. Subscribe to my channel. It's free and I'd love if you give me a thumbs up. And if you want even more tips and tricks to make your financial journey fun and exciting, come on over to limor.money and sign up for email updates. Remember, I'm really not here to change who you are or how you live your life. I just want to give you strategies to make you even more financially fabulous. Thanks so much for watching. Catch you next time. Till then, stay fabulous. Can I please have a free coffee? Can I please have a lower interest rate? Can you please reduce my cell phone bill? Can you please give me for rent this month? Can you please give me an extra book? Can you please make this stop? Can you please make the rain stop?